A very good morning, everybody. This is the third day of our presentations. Semester 1 students are making presentations, and today they are going to make presentations on literature of the Romantics. This is the morning session, uh, and the list of the students. Let me share a screen to have a look at the name and the topics of the students. I'm sharing a screen here. Okay, so in this session, we'll have first presentation by Hina, and that will be on the feeling of love and its development in Elizabeth and Darcy. Okay, still it is a bit very long sentence kind of a title. You can still make it shorter, and uh, you can like say, for example, the theme of love colon Elizabeth and Darcy. In which text is it? From which text is it? Pride and Prejudice. In Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so that way you can still make it better rather than full sentence in a title. Insia will read on John Keats as a poet, followed by Kosha, who will read on concept of marriage and psychology relation. You see, relation of hard times. Okay, and post truth you want to say. Okay, so again you likely need to little bit rectify that properly. Okay. Now again, see, you will change here, but in the live stream it is already copy pasted, so very difficult to change in YouTube, LinkedIn, and other places. Mansi on theme of Pride and Prejudice. Again, you can say that thematic study of Pride and Prejudice, and still you are making a mistake of double inverted comma. Okay. Remember what I told on both the days: single inverted comma for title. Single inverted comma, I told you, write down if you don't remember the thing, so even unconsciously you don't make mistakes. Okay. Double inverted commas are used when somebody is saying something, that is quotes. When you are citing quotes, double inverted comma. Single inverted comma for title. Nirali, difference and similarities between Victor and Monster. And Payal will read on biography of Jane Austen. Pooja, Coleridge's theory of imagination. Rajeshvariba on treatment of nature in Wordsworth's poem. Riddhi on biography of Wordsworth. Rinkal on character analysis of the monster from Frankenstein. Trushali on search for identity in Frankenstein, and Upasna's will be the last one on women's social status, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so these presentations will be made. All the students have submitted their presentations in Google Classroom, wherein we have a three-way of judging this presentations. First one is teachers uh, evaluation, wherein we have prepared a rubric in Google Classroom, various parameters: subject knowledge, organization of ideas, elocution, mechanics of writing, eye contact, enthusiasm, body language, and citations, and MLA style documentation. So on these parameters, teachers will make evaluation of all the presentations, and you will get the marks reflected in Google Classroom through a rubric. Students are also making presentations. The another level of evaluation is students and that is peer and self evaluation. So we have prepared an online form where all the students are giving their peer and self evaluation. And so far, if we see how the things have gone in first 2 days, you all also can see the responses submitted by everybody. When you submit, you can see previous responses where you can try to see how you are evaluated. Okay, so in first two paper, we see that we are not seeing an exact balance between both, because we have couple of present evaluation is not done in a proper way. So there is a slight imbalance there. Otherwise, it should go 50-50 percentage, yeah, equally. And this is how you are evaluated. You can see the general score now of 2 days, average of 2 days, that in which column you got how many points, and how your classmates, your uh, friends have evaluated you, and you have done evaluation of yourself also. So these are the charts of first 2 days. Okay. Okay, so in the later on we are seeing this, that there are somewhere 22 and then 25 responses. Okay, so it means that this is the imbalance. 22 and then 25. It means that there is an error happening, as we identified Hina's mistakes. I think there will be some other students' mistake also, which needs to be identified. So if even one or two students are not careful, then we do not get proper data. Proper data. That's why this all things are very important. And we know that normally people are not very conscious when they fill online forms, when they fill survey forms, or when they evaluate online. They do everything very randomly, and that's why all those statistics are completely unreliable. And that is what we every year we are learning, every semester we learn from your responses also, that people normally are not very conscious. They tend to make simple kinds of mistakes also. Carelessness also is getting reflected, and so the data collected by these forms are unreliable, and this is what you have to keep in mind. Someday you will try to do survey, and if your survey is not followed by interview questions, like we were asking to Hina, that why you have done this, what is the problem, so then we realize that yes, there is a problem, yeah, and it's a genuine problem, the data is wrong. So that is to be done. Never rely blindly on online survey forms. It will be full of mistakes. It will be full of mistakes. And I'm repeating this with you so that later on I don't have to tell you this. That when you try to do survey, always keep in mind that survey results, online survey results are always problematic. You can never rely on these kinds of data which is collected. So that is what we are seeing, we are experiencing also, because whatever knowledge people say, if it doesn't become a part of our experience, it is still not a knowledge. So here we realize that we do tend to make mistake. Even if we are very conscious, somebody from us will make some kind of mistake, and so the data will remain unreliable to some extent also. We have to work on that. So that is peer and self evaluation, where we learn about such things also. uh, so coming to the presentations now, I request the first presenter today to come and share your screen, and you can start making your presentation now. Okay? Yes, so Hina will start with the presentation. Okay. Hello, do camera slightly down. Yeah? Okay, okay, fine. camera you have to do slightly up. There is this visible. Either disconnected or slow. It has gone. That one. Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Parmar and my topic is the feeling of love and its development in Elizabeth and Darcy. This is my personal information and these are some points which I am going through. Jane Austen. So I would like to start my presentation with writer of this novel, Jane Austen. Jane Austen was the daughter of a Hampshire clergyman and she was born at Steventon. She was educated at home. Her father was a man of good taste in choice of reading material, and Jane's education was conducted on sound lines. On the death of the rector, his wife and two daughters removed to the neighborhood of Southampton, where the majority of John Austen's novels were written, and her first published work is Pride and Prejudice, and it was issued anonymously, and she died in middle age and before her merits and received anything like adequate recognition. Uh, the introduction of this uh, novel. Pride and Prejudice is Jane Austen's first novel, which was published in 1813, and in it, as in all her works, have middle class people pursuing the common round. The heroine of this novel is a girl of spirit, but she has no extraordinary questions. Her prejudice and the pride of rank and wealth are gently put, but pleasingly uh, titillated. In this Romanticism era, the primary focus of romance novels is on the relationship and romantic love between two people that must have an emotionally satisfying and optimistic ending. The opening of this novel, each of Jane Austen's other novels being by using one of its principal uh, characters. Only Pride and Prejudice begins with this uh, aphorism. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. This line claims that a wealthy man must be looking for a wife, and also a single woman must be in want of a husband, especially in wealthy one. So that she can become financially independent. and the characters of Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. First, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is the second daughter in the Bennet family, and and she is the most intelligent and quick-witted. She was the protagonist of Pride and Prejudice and one of the most well-known female actors in English literature. She is lovely, clever, and in a novel defined by dialogue, she convinces as brilliantly as anyone. She is important figure in this novel. She is very lovely, clever, and she know how to deal with things. Darcy, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy has become a legend and the definition of a gentleman. He is described as handsome, fine, and tall, and he overall gives the air of being a noble gentleman. In this novel, Mr. Darcy is not humble until Elizabeth rejects his marriage proposal. After the refusal, Mr. Darcy overcomes his pride and Elizabeth her prejudice, and they can finally accept each other and fall in love. When Mr. Darcy proposed Elizabeth rejected his proposal because she thinks that if she didn't like anyone, then she don't marry him. The first proposal of Mr. Darcy. In his first proposal to Elizabeth, she turns him down because Mr. Darcy has been the cause of her sister Jane's unhappiness. Elizabeth believes Wickham to be the innocent and Darcy to be the brute. Mr. Darcy's proposal is evidence of his inner struggle between his individuality and his pride inherited through birth. Uh, this is the picture of Mr. Darcy's proposal that he proposed when he proposed he said this in when I have struggled I will not do my feeling will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love her. Mr. Darcy's letter for Elizabeth. After Elizabeth rejected his proposal, he writes to her explaining and justifying his treatment of Wickham. In his letter, he reveals to her that during the previous summer, he had prevented his sister Georgiana, then 15 years old, from eloping with Wickham. The effect on Darcy of this indent is apparent through the action and the marriage of Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. Marriage between Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy is successful, despite Elizabeth's worries of not marrying him at first. Because of Darcy's letter, Elizabeth realized that shortcomings, they change and acknowledge their mistakes and develop their relationship gradually. So at the end, they both understand each other's feelings and they both accept each other. Conclusion. To conclude, we could say that this novel advocates for morality, good manners, and behavior, mutual respect between all people. This is my work cited. Thank you. So, do you have any question? Thank you. According to me, the marriage of Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy is appropriate because they, at the end when the novel starts, they both have misunderstanding about each other, and at the end they understand what they make mistakes, and they accept each other.
Hina, as you have mentioned the proposal of Mr. Darcy. So while proposing Elizabeth, he gone through the struggle with his pride or feeling. Can you elaborate it that he was struggling between his feeling or and pride?
Yes, when Mr. Darcy proposed Elizabeth, he struggled with his pride because he belongs to upper class, and he has pride about his class. That's why he very.
You don't have to, if you see the audio, test audio, and you will just snap your fingers there or just tap the flap like this, then also it will start showing you a green or blue sign. So you can check audio. Yes, you can. Yes. They have to see. You should know now, like how to check the mic and other things. This all you should be able to do that. No, there is simple mic things are there. You just open setting audio, and then there is microphone, and there is a green dots coming if your mic is working. Are you able to do that? Upasna and Mansi, can you open that settings of audio? Have you opened there? All these things you should take control of, the things. So every time audio, and see that mic. If there are more audio inputs, then that also will show. And learn in your own way, so don't rely on somebody to help you every time. You have to start acquiring all these skills.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Insiyafatema Alvani, and today I am going to present about John Keats as a poet. Here is my personal information. Biography. John Keats was one of the great English poets of the Romantic Age. Keats was born on 31st October in 1795 in England. He died at the age of 25, but he had a most remarkable uh, poet of the English literature. He also wrote sonnets, odes, and epic poems. He published only 54 poems in three slim volumes and few magazines. His father was died when he was 8 years old, and after the death of his father, his mom remarried, and but after some years, she was also died cause of tuberculosis. Education and influence. He studied at the Boys' Academy at Enfield and trained at Guy's Hospital to become a surgeon. Keats was not a literature student; he was a medical student. But he today he is known as the most famous poet and remarkable questioner of that time. Keats' love for literature began in Clark's school. At school, he read widely, won prizes, and began translating Latin and French. Clark encouraged him to turn his energy and curiosity to the library. He was the very close student of the headmaster John Clark. He read so many books in his school time, and he won the literary competition also. And John Clark was himself. He was a friend of writers like Joseph Pillsbury and others. He loves reading poems and the work of Edmund Spenser. His career as a poet. In 1860, his poem called O Solitude published for the first time in a magazine, The Examiner. In 1817, he published a book, Poems, his epic poem Endymion, published in 1888. During 1888 and 1819, Keats continued to write great poems, including Ode to Nightingale, Ode to Autumn, and etc. Major themes of his poem: nature, beauty, imagination, mortality, melancholy, and death. These are the major themes of his poem. Nature is one of the great source of inspiration for the kids. He write about love and pain both in his poetry. He also called as a poet of beauty, and his imagination, mortality are also reflected in his poem. Writing style of Keats. In Keats' poem, all the scenes are neating, organic as well as visual and auditory. In accordance with Wordsworth, Keats lists as an axiom that if poetry comes not as naturally as the leaves to the tree, it had better not come at all. His poems have a little concern with contemporary social and political events. Keats' odes are written with the principle of artistic economy, infinite riches in a little room. His poem reflects his personal life and his personal life problems and the pain also. His famous poems: Fancy, Ode and Grecian on to Lord Byron, and these are his famous poem. Ode and Grecian on he is a very famous poem of him, and this is a philosophical poem. This poem discuss about the links between art and humanity. To Lord Byron, this is a poetic message from poet to poet. In this poem, he write about Lord Byron, and this poem he wrote at the age of 90. La Belle Dame Sans Mercy. This is the most famous poem by Keats. This poem's known for its melodic verse melodic words and a bleak rhyming scheme also. To sleep, for John Keats, sleep is a snapshot of the death, and in this poem he put a statement that why uh, God control the life of Keats. To Ottoman, in this poem he put argument to all humankind that accept the death as a natural part of human life and find beauty in death. In Ode on Melancholy, in this poem, he tells about how to deal and how to not deal with the deep sadness. These poems reflected the sadness, beauty, and all his major themes. And this is a very famous poem of John Keats. Conclusion. In 1820, Keats fell ill with tuberculosis. He went to Italy in the hope that the warmer climate might improve his health. John Keats died in Rome on 23rd February in 1821. Keats was buried in the Protestant cemetery. This is my citation. Thank you. Now, if you have a question, then ask.
Insia, Insia, how Kate's life reflect in his works.
He lost his parents in a early age, and the death and sadness are reflected in his poem.
Insia, my question is that which John Keats poem like you most and why? My question is that which of John Keats poem like you most and why?
Poem mostly I like for the argument that in this poem argument that why God control the human life, and it's my favorite. Thank you.
There's a network issue there. Connections of land connection. The more windows
Windows I'm closing, sir. There are a lot of
go down the browser.
Hello everyone, my name is Kosha Bhatt and today I am presenting on the concept of marriage and associated psychology. These are my personal details. Here are the points to ponder. Condition of women during the era, famous lines from the novel Pride and Prejudice, concept of marriage, elements of marriage, and psychology associated with marriage. Condition of women during Romantic era. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Here, this displays that a man, when he is in possession of a good fortune and has almost everything, then he goes out and hunt for a wife. And even women are depicted as they have to get married, and being married is the only thing to be done in their lives. Here I have embedded a quote. The business of her life was to get her daughters married. This is for Mrs. Jane Bennet, who was constantly trying to get her daughters married. Also, during the Romantic era, it is believed and it is said that women were not able to inherit the lineage and hereditary of their fathers. So, it was very essential to have a male member in the family, or one of the daughters of the family should be married, or else the lineage would be passed on to the male who is a distant cousin. The opening line of the novel also hints about the condition of women during that era. Here I have also used this template where it says that keep her where she belongs. This is an advertisement of shoes during that times, but it is mentioned that position of a lady or a female is in on the ground, like on the very tiniest levels. Few famous lines from the novel. When she is secure of him, there will be leisure for falling in love as much as she chooses. So, for a girl, it is more important to be secured in a marriage rather than being in love in marriage. It is said that always women are asked to select men or go for men who are more settled, who have a good job, have a high salary, and the approach of girls towards men is almost very much materialistic. If I can, but see only one of my daughters happily settled at Netherfields, said Mrs. Bennet to her husband, and all the others equally well married. I shall have nothing to wish for. So here also it depicts that Mrs. Bennet, what wanted she wanted to do was to get her daughters married and nothing else. It seemed like the only goal of her life, the only purpose of her life was to get her daughters married. Here, Mrs. Bennet is arguing with Mr. Bennet, and he replies very sarcastically. Mrs. Bennet says that, "Oh, Mr. Bennet, how can you tease me so? Have you no compassion for my poor nerves?" So, Mr. Bennet says that, "You mistake me, my dear. I have the highest respect for them. They have been my constant companions these 20 years." So, this shows that Mr. Bennet is quite annoyed and he makes fun of his wife in front of his own daughters. Concept of marriage. Since ancient times, most people have had marriages arranged by their parents to bring two families, societies, nations, and countries together. This custom has been popularized since the beginning, and it continues to do so in the modern time as well. Marriage nowadays is more like an institution, like how we have schools and colleges and their rules and regulations and the uniformity of things. Even marriage somewhat now depicts such things. Marriage is considered a main domain of the kinsmen. One of the most important structural subsystems of every society is its kinship system, which is made up of families and other type of kin groups. So, for you to be acceptable in society, it is very much important to be married. The criteria of age of girls and boys, and how boys should always be elder to their respective partners. Even in society, we have a lot of examples, even in the Bollywood industry, that the females are elder to their partner. For example, Aishwarya Rai, Priyanka Chopra. So often they are trolled on social media. Even when Priyanka Chopra got married to Nick Jonas, it was very much said that she married to someone who is age of her son. Objectifying women as a piece of merchandise. In the play Ghanshiram Kotwal by Vijay Tendulkar, Gauri is victimized by her father as he wants to acquire Kotwali. Just because his father wants power, he uses his own daughter as something to trade. And by the end of the play, even Gauri dies because she is severely underage, and while giving birth to child, she passes away. And that is also his father gets to know about it very much later. Even in the movie Jodha Akbar, we can see some similar example when Mughals sent a letter to all the kingdoms, and they say that if you do not surrender your kingdom to the Mughals will invade you. So the father of Jodha marries off his own daughter so that Mughals won't invade their kingdom. Even Draupadi was stripped of her clothes because her husbands lost her in a game of gamble. So even here, they put her as an object that they can win or lose over. Women are not object that you can use them to play a game of gamble. Even Swayamvars were organized. Even then, we can see that prince would come and show their best skills and win wives like trophies, and then take them home. Then again they will go for another swayamvar, and this is like that they are playing some match or tournament and collecting a lot of trophies for themselves. Ill practices on the name of marriage. In ancient times, many of the girls were married off to the idols of gods, and they would spend their entire life in temples, and many accept prostitution to earn a bread. So we all are very familiar to this Devdasi concept. Even in olden times and even today, in many of the villages and socially backward places in the country, this practice happens that women, since their infancy are maybe decided, or then once they are getting older, they are married off to idols of god, and they have to work in temple, worship in temple, they perform dances and everything. And many a times they have to accept prostitution as their own profession so that they don't die of hunger, because as such they don't earn anything, and even they cannot visit their family members any often. There are various states and cities where they market ladies in order to get them married. The highest bidder takes the bride home. This is more present in the tribal areas of India, where there are these auctions for women, where males from another states and cities would come and bid for the good looking females or the females that they want. And the one who pays the highest price gets the bride. One such example is also seen in this movie Devdas, where the female protagonist belongs to a creed who sells their daughters for marriage. There is this dialogue also in the movie present that if someone comes and asks for the hand of Paro, we don't have like a shortage of men. We will have the highest bid for the girl in our society. Demand and acceptance of dowry and then sugar coating it on the name of goodwill or gifts is also very problematic. We don't now accept publicly that yes, we are asking for dowry. We say that they are giving by their own will, they are giving gifts to their own daughter, these are your things only, you are going to come at my place and use those things and utilize them, so this is not for me but this is for you. But do you ask your girl that if she wants it? Marriage as a deal. Many people treat marriages as a deal. We want certain things and qualifications in your son with a good salary and secure job. Whenever women are asked that what kind of a man you want, everyone will talk about emotions and feelings. But deep down, everyone will say that I want a big home, I want a lavish lifestyle, a good car, a high paying job for my husband so that I can fulfill all my desires by his salary. While the groom's parents would insist on having a beautiful, fair, slim looking girl who doesn't have a voice of her own, who would do household work and knows how to cook as well. And also, many people say that whenever you want to get your son married, you marry him off to a girl who is of a step lower than your own lifestyle. And when you marry off your daughter, you marry her off in a lifestyle that is one step ahead of you. So, here also we see biasness that whenever a girl is coming from a lower class, then she will not have her voice of her own, because she will think that already they are doing so much for me and I don't want to become a burden on my parents again. What if they send me back home again? Here also I have pasted some matrimonial ads. You can see that here it is very much mentioned that a matric and a virgin girl required for marriage, 20 to 25 years old. These are the specifications given. And even for the groom, like wanted a beautiful homely girl and everything. So here this is very problematic. Many a times two people are married off because their family thinks they are compatible, and then the bond becomes a compromise. Many a times we see, even many of the Bollywood movies have this concept where two huge business tycoons fix marriages of their own children. Even our society also this happens, that two people are married off but they are not compatible. Still they keep on this bond on the sake of compromise, that okay, my parents have done so much for me, so now I should compromise and live according to my parents will. Higher chances are that individuals won't be happy, and it would lead to anxiety or psychological disorders, because nowadays having psychological disorders is a leading problem in our country. Psychology of marriage. This is the article. Today, nearly 30 years after this paper was published, few advice givers would argue that wives should be any more self sacrificing than husbands. But a quick glance at the covers of men's and women's magazine shows that the cultural responsibility for a successful marriage remains within a woman. It is always said that a relationship is always being saved by a girl or the wife. There is no role as such of husband to save any relationship or the marriage. It is the lady who is always thought to be make compromises about, like, if I am a girl, I have to make compromise, I have to sacrifice my happiness for happiness of other family members. Emotions norms have become less rigid and more tolerant of diversity, but the gender differences persist, and women are still responsible for maintaining intimate relationships. Women cannot have relationships before they are married. Men can have as much as they want. Even there is this criteria that if a man is having a lot of relationships, he is called a stud. That, oh, he's look how such a player, he's a stud, he's so handsome and charming that girls are attracted to him. But if the same thing is done by women, then they are labeled very badly. They are called sluts, they are called whore, and they are depicted as if they have committed a sin. In the 1940s, the Ladies' Home Journal informed its readers that the first rule of loving marriage is to please the one I have chosen. So here also it is problematic that why girls always have to please everyone and keep the bond live. Even men can do that. Even men can try to understand. The whole variety of psychotic disorders are linked with marital pathology. So if your marriage is unhappy and every day if you are having fights and quarrels, it leads to your mental instability. Divorce rate and unhappy marriage. Divorce is generally thought to be a sign of failure, both personal and marital. Divorce is considered to be a necessary evil. It is condoned as one of those things we must accept, however, begrudgingly, as a fact of life. We should always understand that divorce is not a taboo anymore. If two people are not compatible together, then it is okay to separate your own paths rather than to live a bond that is not giving you any kind of mental peace. Divorce, even today, is considered a taboo, and people don't get separated because of the fear of society, leading to an unhappy marriage. If you don't quit a bond that is not favoring your mental health, then definitely you are going to suffer. Women are taught that no matter what, you have to live your life with all the adjustments and compromises. Even if a husband is having an extramarital affair and the wife comes to know about it, and if she goes and tells her parents will also tell her that we have married you off, now you have to look, you have to manage your own life. We are not going to take you back at our home. It is not your home anymore. Now your home is your in-laws' home. Even though the divorce ratio is lower in India comparatively, the ratio of unsatisfied marriages is very high, just because that women are expected to compromise a lot these days. And we also have a lot of proverbs and idioms in a lot of languages, that dikri che, sapno bharo che, we cannot, she is always a tension. We cannot live a daughter with us or for entire lifestyle. That it is a very wrong thing to say. Even in Hindi and even in popular cinema, we have this very famous dialogue that अगर तुम्हारी डोली तुम्हारे मायके से उठी है तो तुम्हारी अर्थी तुम्हारे ससुराल से उठेगी. So that means that once you are married off, you have no rights at your own home. Even recently in this newspaper on 28th August, it was published that 400 people gathered together and decided that if a girl marries off with her own will, or she marries out of love, then she will have no right to the father's property. So it is also very problematic that whatever she deserves, you are not even giving her what she deserves. She does not have any liberty, and whatever she is liking to do in her life, you are also stopping her from doing a very important aspect of her life, that is marriage. By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you will become happy. If you get a bad one, you will become a philosopher. This is a quote by famous philosopher, Greek philosopher Socrates. So it is also very problematic that philosophers also think this way, that wives have only one singular role, and we always perceive and believe that if a man is very much irritated or agitated, then we all make comments like, he must have fought with his wife at home, or he didn't get a good tea in the morning, his wife is such and his wife is this and his wife is that. So why do we always blame wives? Why do we always have to blame them? We can even say that maybe something is wrong with him today. And even the how they treat marriage as a gamble, that it is also said that marriage is the gamble that you will play. If you get lucky, you are at the good side. Even this is a quote by Jane Austen, which says that happiness in marriage is entirely a matter of chance. So it is not necessary that in a marriage you will be happy, but you have to marry. That is a sure thing. These are the works cited. Yes. Now I am open for questions. I personally feel that efforts should be made from both the sides. Even women should try to make efforts and make sure that their voice is heard. And even they should try to bring change in their own family and make their parents understand that what they want in life. Also, with that, even men should understand that women are not an object to control. You cannot control an individual, so even they should have their own liberty and freedom, while respect is very much important. If respect is not there, then no situation can be handled, because there are a lot of misogynists people, and there are a lot of misogyny jokes on women, which also makes females feel very much offended about their own gender. So if you are body shaming just on the name of a gender, then also it is very much problematic.
My question is that the condition of women in this modern time is better than that romantic era. What is your opinion about it?
I undoubtedly believe that yes, women's position and their condition has changed and evolved over time. These feminist movements have helped empower women a lot. But still, I won't say that we are satisfied with the position of women that we have in our society. We are still far more longing than to reach at the stop where we actually have to be. Like, we still, there are many chances and many cases also where still women are neglected, women are thought of as a weaker gender. So if two genders are made differently, then there is no comparison. Even there are a lot of people who say that you are like my son, but telling your daughter that she is like your son is also an indirect comparison, and you are stating that your son is more powerful, or the gender male is more powerful. So yes, women's condition has changed over time, and it is much more better than it was back then in romantic era. But still, I would say that we are like far fetched from the condition where women will be having equal rights and opportunities. Thank you.
Yes, I think by mistake, StreamYard window is closed.
Hello, can I audible? Hello everyone, my name is Mansi Gujdiya. Today I will discuss the theme of the novel Pride and Prejudice. This is my personal information. Now we can see a basic introduction of the novel. Pride and Prejudice was written by Jane Austen. This novel was published in 1830, a novel that largely deals with the manner. In especially, we can see a novel, Mrs. Bennet character. In Bennet character, we can see a manner. The story of Mr. and Mrs. Bennet's 5 daughters and her marriage. Uh, First, most important theme of the novel is a marriage. In a Jane Austen's time, marriage is often an economical rather than Uh, social arrangement. Uh, in our India, so many uh, so many states women get married for uh, economic for a wealth and social status. In that day, marriage was often the only option for a Uh, young woman. Especially, we can see Mrs. Bennet and her 5 daughters. Mrs. Bennet, no, Mrs. Bennet's main purpose is get married and get settled for his 5 daughters. In this novel, we can see four main marriages. Uh, first marriage is First marriage is Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth. This novel is a love marriage. Uh, uh, Elizabeth is not see a wealth and a social status of Mr. Darcy. Uh, Mr. Darcy, but in a starting of novel, Mr. Darcy, uh, Mr. Darcy was not uh, angry, not loves with Elizabeth because Elizabeth comes from a lower class, and Mr. Darcy is come from upper class. But end of the novel, he is ready for a marriage. A second marriage is Mr. Bingley and Jane. Uh, in this marriage, uh, social status is important. Jane and his mother see a social status of Mr. Bingley. A third marriage is Lydia and Wickham. Uh, uh, in this marriage, Lydia see uh, social status and wealth of Wickham because Lydia is a young girl and she is not a burden to her parents. That's why he married Mr. Wickham. In a fourth marriage is Mr. Collins and Charlotte. Uh, in the during this novel, she is said to Elizabeth. Uh, uh, Elizabeth that Collins have a higher social position and better wealth. That's why I married Mr. Collins. Second theme is social class and economics. Theme of novel is also distinction between upper class and lower class of society. It is so common in 18th century. In this novel, we can see that Darcy is come from upper class and Elizabeth is come from lower class. That's why Darcy is not agree with a marriage. But end of the novel, Darcy is fall in love with Elizabeth and they are happily married. Uh, in the other case, Mr. Bingley and uh, Jane is coming from a lower class and Mr. Bingley is coming from upper class. But end of the novel, both are married. Uh, woman in this novel. Uh, in the late 18th century, women had a very specific role in society. Their primary role was to get married, have a children, and maintain a household for uh, their husband. Uh, in this novel, Mrs. Bennet, main purpose is get married, her four daughter, and get a settle. Uh, in our Indian law, girls in our Indian law, girls should get married in 18 years old. If a girl pass a 18 year and get a old, that's a problematic for society and family. Even this novel, Mrs. Bennet's main purpose is getting married for his five daughters. Elizabeth is not a contrast to this definition of the ideal woman. She is a clever and opinionated, but end of the novel, she chose the life of 19th century. Conclusion. Pride and Prejudice themes discuss Jane Austen's story and discuss marriage, social class, economics, and self-knowledge seen throughout the book. This is my work citation. Thank you. Now you can ask a question. Any question?
Mansi, my question to you is which theme, according to you, is most highlighted in the novel?
According to marriage is the most
My question is that which theme, according to you, is most highlighted in the novel?
according to me, marriage is the most highlighting theme of the novel because when novel is start, that Mrs. Bennet main purpose is get married and a full and during full novel we can see a very conflict between a marriage.
Yes.
Yes, especially yes, in especially in our India, Indian parents are always excited for her daughter and son marriages. That's why it's present in India.
So that if you make some noise near the flap, then if the sound is captured, then it will show green dots near microphone. Those black dots will turn green. That is how you can check the audio setting in your devices.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Dabhi Nirali and I am going to present here difference and similarities between Victor and Monster. This is my personal introduction. This is a point which one I present here. First one is Mary Shelley's introduction. Second, introduction of the Frankenstein. Third, difference between Victor and Monster. And fourth, similarities between Victor and Monster. Mary Shelley's introduction. Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. She is a mother of Mary Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin. He is a father of Mary Shelley, and she was married to P.B. Shelley. She is also belongs from she is also English romantic novelist. Mary Shelley's best Mary Shelley's best known book is Frankenstein or the modern Prometheus. It is published in 1818 and it is republished in 1831. A text that is part this novel is a part of a, philosophical novel, and it is also a gothic fiction novel, and also a horror fiction. She wrote several other novels, including Valpraga, The Fortune of Parking Parking Warbeck, Leder, and Faulkner. And this is the novel which was written by Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley's one of the best novel is Frankenstein, and this is the adaptation of this movie, which is released in 1994. Introduction of the Frankenstein. And the Frankenstein is the novel, and the other name of the novel is the Modern Prometheus. It is published in 1818. P.B. Shelley, Mary Shelley set the frame of Frankenstein in the late 1790. In this novel, Victor Frankenstein's genre of romance rescue for beautiful Elizabeth. Uh, I described the character. The first one is Victor Frankenstein. He is a protagonist of this novel, and the second main protagonist of this novel is creature, Captain Walton, and Elizabeth Lavenza. This is the difference between victor and monster. We all know that God make us, but in this novel, Victor create the creature, and the creature is made by human. So this is the main difference of this novel. Victor Frankenstein is the main protagonist of this novel. Monster is the second main protagonist of this novel. He devotes all his time in his studies, sacrificing his health and his relationship for his ambition. In the other side, the monster is helps bring firewood. He teaches himself to read by the family of where he is gone. Frankenstein promised to create one, the female monster, the female creature, but he does not want to complete in the propagation of similar creature. So he breaks his promises. The promise is give the promise is give the monster that he will make a female monster for him. The monster enraged kill Frankenstein close friend and families. In the other side, monster he demands that Frankenstein should create a female creature so that the pair can live away from civilization, peaceful, and have the solace of each other. Frankenstein constantly praised Elizabeth as a beautiful, saintly, gentle presence in his life. Frankenstein and Elizabeth reveal their romantic love for each other and get engaged to be married. On the other side, on their wedding night, however, Elizabeth is strangled to death by the creature. In this two type of personality we saw in this novel, that Victor is a selfish type of person, and monster is also the selfish, because when he cannot get female creature for him, so he kills the Victor's fiance. Similarities between Victor and Monster. The similarities are they share three significant qualities. They have a need for bonds, they love nature and love being outdoor. Both of them are very shy and like to be themselves, but they like to be in the nature all the time. These are the similarities of Victor and Monster, that they both love nature and they both are shy, so they cannot adjust in people very easily. The vivid similarities between the two tragic characters are driven by their dreary isolation from the secluded world, which refuse to accept those who are different into society, by hatred, and most important by the absence of motherly figures in both Victor's and Monster lives. In these similarities, Victor and Monster both are face the same problem. They both are hate by the societies and other peoples. And this is my work citation. Thank you.
Nirali, do you think that monster was treated badly by his own creator and society?
Yes, Kosha. According to me, the victor is treated his creature, and he is refused to take a creature with him, because he have not uh, he have not uh, l- he is also not behaving like humans, and that's why he is refused to take a creature with him. So according to me, this is bad for creature.
Nirali, according to you, who is the protagonist of the novel, Victor or Monster, and why?
Yes, Mansi. According to me, the Victor is the main protagonist of this novel, and the second, not main, but the important protagonist of this novel is a big creature.
Am I audible? So, hello everyone. Myself Payal Bambhaniya. Today I am going to present a biography of Jane Austen. It is my personal detail. Brief introduction of Jane Austen. She is one of the most widely read and best loved writer in British literature. She is a prose writer of Romantic era. Jane Austen was born on 1775 in the small village of Stevenson in Hampshire, England. This is a picture of house of Jane Austen. She died in 1817. Jane Austen was an English novelist. She is known for her six major novels, which interpret, critique, and comment upon the British landed gently at the end of the 18th century. Life and family of Jane Austen. She was the seventh child of Reeves George Austen. With her sister, she was educated at home and passes her life very quietly. She began to write at an early age. She died quietly as she had lived at Winchester. Writing style of Jane Austen. She uses parody and mockery for comic effect in her works. Austen's plot often explored the dependence of women on marriage in the pursuit of favorable social standards, standing, and economic security. She stood between the edge of sense and sensibility, from her first published novel, Sense and Sensibility, to her last completed novel, Pursues, the missed opportunities cast a shadow over Austen's world that her narrative never quite succeed in either displaying or even in persuasion fully redressing. Here is a major works of Jane Austen. First one is a Pride and Prejudice. Second one is a Sense and Sensibilities. Emma, Mansfield Park, Northanger Abbey, Persuasion.
Here is a famous quote of Jane Austen. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man is a possession of a good fortune must be in a want of a wife. It is a famous dialogue from Pride and Prejudice. Sense and Sensibility, a second novel of Jane Austen. Sense and Sensibility tells the story of the improvised Dashwood family, focusing on the sisters Eleanor and Marian, personification of good sense and sensibility. It is published anonymously in three volumes in 1811 and that become a classic. The satirical comic work offer a vivid depiction of 19th century middle class life as it follow the romantic relationship of Eleanor and Marian Dashwood. Second is Pride and Prejudice. It is also part of our study. Pride and Prejudice is a romantic novel of manners written by Jane Austen. It is published in 1830. Pride and Prejudice was well received by critic and also readers. The novel is set in a rural England in the early 19th century. The novel follows the character development of Elizabeth Bennet. Elizabeth Bennet was a protagonist of Pride and Prejudice and a famous character of the English literature. It is a center on the relationship between Elizabeth Bennet and Fitzwilliam Darcy, a rich and aristocratic landowner. He is a hero of the novel. Pride and Prejudice inspired various stage, film, and television production. Many television production Bride and Prejudice is a very well adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. Third one is Ima. Ima is a fourth novel of Jane Austen. It is published in 1815. The novel centers on Ima Woodhouse, a young woman whose misplaced confidence in her myth-making abilities occasion several romantic misadventures. Themes in her work. Uh, First one is a morality. Morality characterized by manners, duty to society, and religious seriousness is a central theme of Austen's work. Gender role in uh, Jane Austen's work. Austen's fiction female characters comment on a male author text and take charge of the creation of their own worlds. Third one is property and class. Austen's novel raise and explore a variety of issues relating to money and property and the power that they convey. Uh, Last one is education and reading. Austen's plot are fundamentally about education. Her heroine experience a process through which they come to see clearly themselves and their conduct, and therapy become better. Uh, so I conclude my today's presentation with say that Austen is often considered one of the originator of the modern interiorized novel character. She was a bright, attractive little woman whose sunny qualities are unconsciously reflected in all her works. Thus, we can say that Austen was an important novelist in English literature. Her contribution in English literature is a noteworthy. Thank you. Now you can ask me a question.
Payal, how did Jane Austen inspire people in that period?
According to me, Jane Austen, all the works we can see the reflection of upper class and lower class marriages, feminism, and that's why we can say that a person is inspired by her works.
Payal, how did Jane Austen inspire people in her period? Payal, how did Jane Austen inspire people in her period?
Yes, Nirali, Pride and Prejudice is a first novel of Jane Austen, and it is a very famous. And Pride and Prejudice main theme is marriage, and it is a reflect our society of condition of marriage of females. So it is a best work of Jane Austen. Thank you.
So if you're not able to do the sound, then use your mobile phone when you ask the question. Wherever you have this, but check your sound settings with any device. Whenever you go, later on also, this is not only for these 5 days, but we want these skills in you that whenever you are in this kind of gatherings or using digital tools, you should be checking this all things, sound, video, and how to check that also you should be aware about.
Can I start? Hello, good morning, everyone. On this third day of season one presentation from the paper number 103 Literature of Romantics, I choose the topic Coleridge Theory of Imagination. Here is my personal information. Now about the Samuel Tyler Coleridge. He was born in 1772 and died in 1834. He was a poet, philosopher, critic, and also co-founder of British Romantic movement. He was a romantic poet and also known as leg poet. He published his best work, Lyrical Ballads with William Wordsworth, and other Biographia Literaria, Kubla Khan, and Rime of Ancient Mariner are the best work of him. Let's see what is the theory of imagination. So the 13 and 14 chapter of Biographia Literaria deals with the Coleridge theory of imagination. What he defines imagination as power that unifies all experience of thoughts, feelings, reason, and emotion. It was published in 1817, and these two lines, "O Adam, one Almighty is, from whom all things proceed, and up to him written." These two lines is the first line of 13th chapter theory of imagination or exemplastic imagination. This two line describe that all creation, all imagination first started with God Almighty. What is in this world, like water, bird, and all the insects, are creation and imagination of God's mind. He divided the theory of imagination into two sections: primary imagination and secondary imagination. Asmoplastic imagination is not a type of this two imagination, but it's a supreme type of imagination, and he differentiate fancy and imagination. So now primary imagination. Primary imagination is a universal and possessed by all. This first primary imagination, we all have that imagination, that what we hear, we can imagine in our mind unconsciously. It is the power of perceiving the object of sense both in their parts and as whole. Like if I say this is a water and this is a lion, in our mind we can imagine, yes, here is a water, how it looks, how it shaped, lion, how it look, how it shaped. And if I say there is a lion in the jungle, so you all can imagine and relate that there is big trees and lion in the jungle. Then this is a primary imagination which unconsciously we imagine our mind. Secondary imagination is a typical attribute of the artist and chief source of all poetic creation. This imagination is a bit high imagination that is not unconscious, that is conscious. That if we want to write a poetry, we have to think about it, we have to think about words, how we can arrange the words. This is a conscious imagination, and it is most we can see in artists and poets. It is a conscious use of the power of imagination which is more active than the primary imagination. I already said that. Now, asmoplastic imagination, this is a supreme level of imagination. It is an ability to shape dissimilar elements concept into a sense. Like if there is so many things, different things, we can collect all these things in our mind and make a something beautiful or a sensible thing. This kind of imagination mostly we can see in scientific based persons, and this high rated minded person, we can see that. Secondary imagination with its plastic states reshapes objects of the external world and makes them more artistic and beautiful. This is not a imagination that we can attach with secondary imagination or primary imagination. This is a high level of imagination. In that imagination, the secondary imagination, the shape or the trace of plastic of secondary imagination, we have to pull out, and then what we see under this secondary or primary imagination, it is called asmoplastic imagination. The plastic of the imagination we have to open up. Then after this, fancy and imagination, so many poets and philosophers describe imagination and fancy in similar words and similar manner, but Coleridge wants to define that fancy and imagination are two both different things. Fancy is a simple kind of a memory or mechanical process of mind, and imagination is a described as a mysterious power which is responsible for constructing whole. Coleridge considered fancy is inferior to imagination. That fancy is lower than imagination. Imagination is something higher than fancy. In fancy, we can only imagine things, that this is a computer, okay, we imagine. But what it's a fancy, call it fancy. Then what we imagine, that how this if we see computer, we can imagine how it is worked, how many wires are plugged in this computer. This is called imagination. That takes so much. Now, what we understand by the word imagination, when we heard imagination, we things like in previous when teacher says that let's draw the kudrati drashya, see, we use that word, and when we do that, we used to draw this sun and all this thing. In our mind, this is a kudrati drashya image. Then Albert Einstein also say that imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, imagination encircles the world. Like imagination is more important than knowledge. Okay, we have that knowledge, okay, we know that, but how can we relate everything if we can't imagine anything? The imagination of the shape of heart, and in reality we see that what is heart do, like pump blood and do that thing, and structure in a body. But what we do of heart, we shape like this and do that, it is a love. But it's not in reality heart feel anything. It is our mind that feel everything. So in imagination we make this heart structure in a very different manner. Now, painting of nature, imagination of God, it is a
best imagination of humankind, or I can say that, cause God is a something central thing from which we are connected to. What if we imagine that no proof of God, like the person see the God, that I see the God and I have no proof, but what proof that we call that there is a God. We imagine God's structure, that how they look like Saraswati Mata. If we imagine, or I say Saraswati Mata, so we all imagine a veena in her hand, a white sari with a lady. That is imagination of God. And other God imagination too. Thinking activity workshop in English, in our department, English department, we also had this thinking activity workshop. In that we imagine so much thing, we open up our inner sides, and we imagine and related so many things. So here is my work citation of painting and information that I gave. Thank you. I completed my presentation. The stage is open for questions.
Yes, Pooja.
Yes.
You believe that imagination is important than knowledge? How?
Yes, of course. I say imagination is better than knowledge. I totally agree with Einstein. Cause if we can imagine anything, if we have so many knowledge, we have so many different dots. But if we can't imagine the thing, that how we can connect it, so it really meaningless thing. So imagination is a important thing. If we can't imagine a thing, like a person, I forgot his name, but he imagined in his he dreamed and imagined this machine, silai machine, we call that silai machine. He imagined, and after that he everything structured and do this thing, and that's why we can wear these clothes. So imagination is more important than knowledge. Yes, Ada.
Hello, Pooja. How do you think Coleridge has been successful in defining the concept of imagination and fancy?
How he successful in imagination, we in the lyrical ballads, we see that Wordsworth and Coleridge both write poems in lyrical ballads, but the poems written by Coleridge is more spiritual and imaginative in his sense. He is a way better to think imaginative thing, and more that's a spiritual kind of thing in his mind. And who has this kind of thinking, they can relate things and attach things, also differentiate things more clearly than others, and that's why he also succeed to define fancy and imagination. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I am Rajeshwari. Today I am going to present on the element of nature in Wordsworth poem. This is the overview of my further slides. Introduction, four stages in Wordsworth poem is philosophy of nature, element of nature, quotation, eco-criticism, and Chipko movement, and then work cited. Here is the introduction of poet William Wordsworth as the most celebrated and influential Romantic English poet, and as the greatest English poet after Shakespeare and Milton. In 1798, at the age of 28, Wordsworth claimed that he had long been worshipper of nature. He himself told he is a worshipper of nature, and he very admirably write about the nature and about the elements of nature. We can tell him a high priest. He suggests that a poem organized in the recollection of a splendor in the object of sense. Wordsworth's imagination and metaphors mix natural scenery, religious symbolism, and the relies of the poet's rustic childhood and other things. Children from an intense bond with nature. When we are in our childhood, we have a very good attachment with nature. But as we are grow and we are busy in our day to day life, and we everyone busy in our career and our personal life. At that time, we somehow forgot the nature and the importance of nature. As children age reach after the childhood, we are getting in maturity, and we are not seeing nature as we are in seeing childhood. Here are the four stages that we can see in his poem Tinton Abbey. As Wordsworth going with his sister, and at that time he recall his memory of childhood, and then he write a poem upon it. As a child, he enjoyed nature with the help of the sense. During childhood, we can't able to critical think and other thing. We are just see the things and see the things by our senses. That is the natural. Everyone has the senses, but the critical approach is a day by day. After the maturity, we are develop it. There is a five senses: seeing, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. And intellectualization helps him to think upon the object of nature. Intellectualization means when he was young, at that time he can able to the work of nature's object. And middle age, uh, he loves nature because the nature for the sake of nature. And the last fourth stage, third stage led fourth stage, how we can say it? Because in third stage he get maturity, and maturity gets helps to him think spiritualism. In old age, adopt the spiritualism of nature. He sees a bigger soul running through all the objects of nature, awaiting single whole. Here is the element of nature. Nature, I quote, nature I divided into internal nature and external nature. External nature refers to the universe that are not made by people, and it is controlled by divine power. Whereas internal nature is refers to the usual way as a human or animal behaves, or the part of their character or basic qualities of a thing. Here in this quotation, there is a one word: nature is controlled by divine power. But we can say nature is controlled by naturally. It's controlled. Nature is controlled by nature. It's controlled by own, and nature controls everything. Here are some two lines of a Wordsworth poem. The world is too much with us. This is the element of the nature in this poem. Sea. In literary meaning, sea is a large place of world, and water is counting salt. But in figurative meaning of this poem, sea as a something unpredictable and mysterious thing. And moon. Here, moon is the pure satellite of Earth, but in the poem figurative meaning is moon as a spirit of people. We can say when we are so see the moon, and at that time our mind gets peace. It is psychologically proved. Wind, one of the five basic elements of nature, and wind is one of them, symbolize a problem that could be a spirit to face. In Hindi or Gujarati, we are generally says કે મુસીબતોનું વાવાઝોડું આવ્યું છે. So in this term we can use wind in the figurative meaning. Sleeping flower, a plant is just a plant, but in a figurative meaning we can say there is some calmness, peaceness, and quiet. And there is another one is Lee, that means a land. Wordsworth wrote this poem when industrialism starts, and who loves nature too much, and that industrialism come, and they think other industry and other people who are working is that they destroy the nature, and at that time he want to tell them people ki, nature is doing too much for us, and industrialism may be harmful for us, and that's why he wrote this poem to against the industrialism. And we have so many movies like that, robot 2.0, this type of movies that we can say they are against industrialism and against AI. When we are studying about element of nature, there is a eco-criticism is a very newly arriving aspect and term of literature. Eco-criticism is the study of the relationship between literature and the physical environment. It takes an earth-central approach to literary studies. Here is one picture that is aging is a part of nature, and it's culturally defined. We are growing day by day. That is the part of nature. It is not the part of culture, but we makes it a part of culture, and then we can see the tone of the people. In India, we have wheatist tone. In England, they are a very fair skin, and in China, somehow they are yellowish, yellow people. Then it's a part of nature. Our environment gets it's not the individual's choice. Eco-criticism, ultimately a form of environmental advocacy, is primarily a critical and literary tool, a kind of reading designed to expose and facilitate the analysis of the text orientation both to the world it imagines and the world in which it takes shape, along with the condition and context that affect that orientation wherever it might be. Here is the one picture that is also shown about the eco-criticism. There is ecofeminism is one of the there is so many terms under the eco-criticism, but ecofeminism is the one of the term that's under in eco-criticism. We are considered land as our mother, land, and our mother is a female, and we can tell land as our mother, and woman is able to produce child and able to fertilize, and then we can also say land is also able to fertilize and produce crop, and she is nurturing us. And there is also a concept the land is owned by men, and women is also owned by men. Then help of this ecofeminism, there is a concept of eco and ecology and feminism that we can get together, and then we can think critically. There is the Chipko movement. I would like to share this movement because of William Wordsworth don't like at that time himself the industrialization, and he writes some poem against the industrial people, and this is the non-violence way. And the chipko movement is, it's also the way you do something in a non-violence way. So that's why chipko movement was a non-violence agitation. It's happened in 1973. There is one woman, Miss Gauri, who is the their leader, and every villagers, approximately 84 villagers are there, and they hugged trees, and other who are come to cut the trees, they can, and they prevent trees from the men who are coming to cut the trees. And this is happened in Uttarakhand in 1973. It's not a very old, it's not happened in very old time or very old era. It's just, we can say it's 50 to 55 years later. Here is a doodle that is made by Google on this 45th anniversary of Chipko Andolan or Chipko movement, and that is made by Google. We in our history books we all learn about Chipko movement, but at that time where from where it comes, the idea is comes from the Rajasthan. However, not many people know that the originally Chipko movement dates back to the 18th century and was started by Rajasthan's Bisnoi community. In Rajasthan, there is a community that called Bisnoi Praja. They are very loved their nature, and they are worshipper of nature. And in present time, they are there. If you are remember in 1998, Salman Khan go to the shooting on his film Hum Saath Saath Hai, and he shoots two black bucks, and at that time there is a case upon him. At that time, Bisnoi communities opposed Salman Khan, and these communities part is very deep in this case. The incident has been etched in the annal of history for the sacrifice of a group of villagers who, led by a lady named Amrita Devi, laid down their lives while here is the black and white photo, is the photo of Miss Amrita Devi, laid down their lives while protecting trees from being felled on the orders of then King of Jodhpur. And there is a very big movement. Some villagers are lose their life in this movement, and after that there is the King of Jodhpur who banned cutting of trees in Bisnoi's village. During nowadays, they have one ritual when at that time a girl child born in their family, they plant a tree. Here is my work cited. Thank you. Now I'm open for question.
Hello, Rajeshvariba. According to you, why William Wordsworth the inspiration of the Romantic era and also present time? Can you explain?
Inspiration. Also present. When William Wordsworth write it at that time, there is some other movements are also happening at that time. Maybe he don't like this movement and he want to oppose it. He want to oppose this movement. So that's why he writes some thing. And if we are learn history, there is a one quote: "History is repeats." So what is happening at that time, it's maybe also happening in our time. So that's why we can say he is he inspired by the other movement, and Wordsworth very admirably write upon the nature, but there is we can't say everyone is like to write like that. There is a one line in by Gujarati poet, "જે પોષતું તે મારતું એ ક્રમ દિશે કુદરતનો." That means it is the other aspect of this. Coleridge and Robert Frost write in this poem, though it's individual's choice.
So, Rajeshwari, what affects most to human life, external elements or internal elements?
According to my understanding, both elements are effect on people. External elements, that are the nature that is surrounding us. If and internal, that means that people are arranged by them. If the synchronizing of this both element, then we can say the synchronization is very important for the, living a good life. Thank you.
Unmute before sharing. Otherwise, again, you will have to come down to unmute it.
afternoon, everyone.
Okay, before you start this, you have mentioned that your 39 tasks are incomplete in Google Classroom. 39. So that is a very huge number. Only 7 you have completed.
No, sir.
Huh? You have written that 7 completed task and 39 incomplete task. Is it so? So that is what you have typed. So I am telling you. 7 completed and 30 out of 46 tasks total. You mentioned that 39 are incomplete. Is it right, or then any problem in that? Have you typed or told anybody to type it?
No, sir.
Have you typed it? So then why this? What is this mistake? Have you seen others' numbers also when you go to type?
Sir, I will check it. I will check it.
ઓકે તમે જાઓ ત્યારે બીજાના જોવો છો કે નહીં? તમે આજુબાજુમાં નજર કરો છો કે તમે કોઈ પણ ડેટા ફિલ કરવા જાઓ ત્યારે થોડી ક્યુરિયોસિટી રહે ને કે આપણા ક્લાસમેટનું સ્ટેટસ કેવું છે, એને શું લખ્યું છે, એવું કરો છો કે નહીં? આર યુ ડુઈંગ ધેટ? Then also you can come to know જો મિસ્ટેક હોય તો કે આ બધા સાથે મારો ડેટા કેમ મેચ થતો નથી, એ પ્રશ્ન થાય ને તમને કે ન થાય? આ તો સાદી વાત છે. તમે કોઈ પણ કામ કરવા જાઓ તો આજુબાજુ જુઓ તો ખરા ને કે what other people have said, so then you can compare your data with others. Then also you can come to know if it is a mistake.
The mistake that the 16 tasks were completed and 13 tasks incomplete. So I prefer you like to have this more answer.
हाँ.
She like to have
अच्छा, this is Riddhi. अच्छा, okay. हाँ. It is Riddhi. Okay. हाँ, fine. Okay, 13 tasks are incomplete in that. Okay, okay, fine. Not Anjali. Huh? Okay, you can start.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Riddhi Rathod. Today I am going to deal with presentation on my topic biography on William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was born on 7 April 1770, Cockermouth in England. Died on 23 April 1850, Westmoreland in England. He was influenced by French Revolution. He was married Mary in 82. He was known as a poet of nature. Wordsworth believes in that nature is a living soul. Wordsworth's motto is return to nature. His early life was his discontent with his familial situation provoked Wordsworth to spend his time wandering away from his home, an action Wordsworth relates us as uniting a childish imagination with both nature and mankind in prelude. Besides the local surrounding, Wordsworth was educated at the Hogshead Grammar School, which had reputation for scholarship and preparation for university entrance. It was under Coleridge's support Wordsworth was encouraged to write poetry intended to revival Milton. Afterwards, Wordsworth continued to write even without support to Coleridge's company, and from October to February 1799, Wordsworth began writing the Matthew poems along with the Lucky poem and other poems. Why Wordsworth is a romantic poet? Wordsworth is considered as a romantic poet. The classical poets had not much respect for nature, and the common man, but Wordsworth took up new subjects of poetry. His adoration of nature and common simple life were things of romantic character. His poetry is for common people. Reading it, people feel that happening to us too, and can relate it to their own lives. Here, here is some major works of Wordsworth. Lyrical Ballads. The year 1793 saw the first publication of poems by Wordsworth in the collection An Evening Walk and Descriptive Sketches. In 1795, he received a legacy from Russell Calvert and became able to pursue a career as a poet. Together, Wordsworth and Coleridge produced Lyrical Ballads in 1798, an important work in the English Romantic movement. Most famous poem, Tyndon Abbey, published in this collection along with Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. The second edition, published in 1800, had only Wordsworth listed as the author and individual preface to the poem. It was argument significantly in the next edition published in 1802. The second one is the Prelude. In 1802-1804, he began expanding this autobiographical work, having decided to make it a prologue rather than appendix. He completed this work, now generally referred to as the first version of the Prelude, in 1805. The death of his brother John, also in 1805, affected him strongly and may have influenced his decision about this work. In 1807, Wordsworth published a poem in two volumes, including Ode Intimation of Immortality from Recollection of Early Childhood. His famous work between 1795 to 97, Wordsworth wrote is one play, The Borders, a verse tragedy set during the reign of King Henry III of England, when Englishmen in the North Country came into conflict with Scottish rule. Second work is The Recluse. It was a long philosophical poem. Here I said image of William Wordsworth's most famous poem. William Wordsworth's most famous quote is, "Life is divided into three terms, that which was, which, and which will be. Let us learn from the past to profit by the present, and from the present to live better in the future." Here is my work cited.
Riddhi, can you tell why William Wordsworth wrote on common people, as you mentioned in your slide? Can you tell why William Wordsworth wrote on common people?
Because this time people is not catch. So Wordsworth is a right they simple language, and common people is very well to understand.
Yes. Riddhi, what is difference between the early life of Wordsworth and afterlife after publishing lyrical ballads that you noticed?
When Wordsworth was company with Coleridge, he was very. Sorry, I not about it. Sorry.
स्क्रीन बताइए हमारी નથી रिद्धि છે Hello everyone, I am
Okay,
Rinkal and
before you
today
start this, yes, in your topic still there is this. You have mentioned that you are going to speak on analysis of the monster, uh, and in the title written from Frankenstein, a character of Frankenstein. That so that Frankenstein is title, not the name of the person. Title of the text.
yes,
So title of the text should be in
initiated,
inverted
yes,
comma. Otherwise, that becomes a character Frankenstein, not the novel. So that difference, third day we are telling that how to differentiate between the text and the character. So even in the sheet also you have not put it in single inverted comma.
I will edit it sir.
Okay, now you can start.
Hello everyone, I am Rinkal and today I am going to deal with a topic
character analysis of the monster from the novel Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Introduction. Mary Shelley was a philosopher and activist and also interested in feminism. Her father provided her rich informal education. She married P.B. Shelley. She had edited and promoted her husband's works. She was much famous for her science fiction novel Frankenstein or Modern Prometheus. So, who is the monster? That Victor Frankenstein, protagonist of the novel, he had created life from dead body with the help of science, and which were more hideous than every normal man. Though it was his creation, he himself didn't accept his creature. That we all are aware that a person, Victor created his creature with a very much passion. That he was a creature was Victor's dream, and he spent much time and knowledge behind of the creature. And though he rejected his creature because of his looks, a creature growth into a monster is the result of an intimate monsterity. That how creature is growing as a monster. That it was not a monster because of only his looks. That Hannah Jackson in his journal wrote that creating a monster, and Mary Shelley's novel that he had wrote that when when a creature is speaking that you are my creator but I am your master, obey. And because he was when he when creature goes to that day Lynch's family and understand how family structures are working in a society, and he recalls that Victor should be my father because he created me, but he didn't nurture me as the father should, and that's why he thought that I should take a revenge. As he read some of the books, and when he thought about Paradise Lost and all the things, he goes to revenge for because over this his master. Actually, a monster. That as I explained, he was not a monster by his looks only, rather than he was created a monster. Milton's monster is myth. That evil then force become my good. That whenever there was no option, that society and his own master rejected him, he thought that only I should take revenge and go for my right. Monster as a child. That as a child, Victor created his creator, and he was as a child that don't know any languages, any skill of communication, and all the relationships and other things. Here are my works cited. Thank you. You can ask me questions.
Rinkal, can you say the purpose of writing Frankenstein?
Yes, when Mary Shelley wrote it as a science fiction, or many of them are calling it as a gothic fiction novel. That Mary Shelley wrote it as a purpose of writing such a more horror thing with the purpose of writing it.
Rinkal, my question is that what kind of character is Frankenstein's monster?
He was like a child, not a monster by only his looks. But the another side, dark side of the creator is that he thought when there was a one scene of eating pig, he denied that I should be kind towards them. But when it comes to Victor's little brother William, then he kills him. That he didn't thought that I should not kill him because the revenge was only in his mind. And the one good side is that he was a victim by society. The society made him victim by making him by feeling him that you are this deformed and Victor. And as one sequence, he thought that a person like me, as ugly as me, will accept me only. In our society, we are all are watching that a blind person will get another blind wife or husband like same, and all that kind of thoughts are coming in his mind as a victim, as a dark side, and as a good person also. That at the end, monster is a gave a funeral to his creator that you are my father. That's thank you.
I'm sharing this screen for this last presentation, citations. The others also, if you have the similar problem, then you also can correct it. So have a look at the screen that I am sharing. Now here there is a mixture of APA and MLS style citation. So when you write a date, year in parenthesis after the name, it is APA style. So Marshall Brown, that is Brown Marshall 2003, that is APA style. Now if you'll see the last one uh, by Swingle LJ, Frankenstein's monster and its romantic relatives, problems of knowledge in English Romanticism. Now see there, after the name there is no date. There is a date afterwards at the end, around this page number before that, 1973. That is MLS style. This is one of the easy way to identify if you are making a mistake in citation or not, or are you mixing APA and MLS style, so that you can remember to see that. And again, I say when things are said, if you rely on your memory, you will forget it. So you have to write down to take a note of that. Otherwise, you will not be able to remember it for a longer period. Then tomorrow somebody else will make the same mistake. So that is thing. Then Marshall, the way it is written, it is again like not written in this way by the writer. You have to write the way writer writes it. M dot A dot R dot S dot with space everywhere. Uh, so that is again problematic. So from wherever you have taken this, they had made some either problem or some error, or whether their machines are designed in such a way to identify these letters in that way. But this link, when I have opened and seen, the person is writing Marshall Brown in a common way only. This article, Frankenstein, A Child's Tale, that was cited, A Child's Tale. Now, see again, so there is Marshall Brown without dot or without space. Dot and space, both are character, they are alphabets. Space also is alphabet. So that one has to be very careful. Now, see the title, the way it is mentioned here, Frankenstein, colon, space, capital A, capital C, capital T in Child's Tale. Now, when it is taken here, Frankenstein, colon, space is there, but small a, small c, small t. It's a big error in title. That's what we are discussing on the third day also, uh, which I thought on the first day it is solved, everybody will understand. The title will not have any error among our small group of students. But still, that error is coming. It means either we are not conscious while we are working on these titles and even citations and other things also. So when you start looking at other titles, also your some part of your mind is working constantly about how people are writing titles. So how you use the titles, how the sentence can be converted into title. Sentence is different thing, title is a different thing. Using columns, that all you can start looking at. So your title can become attractive also, and it thematically captures everything that you want to say also. So that way, think of it. It's first semester. So fine, there are some mistakes and errors, but subsequently we will see that you are making drafting appropriate titles and not making these errors also. So this were some of the things. The others also. Just look at your own citations and try to see, because many of you might also have similar mistakes. Okay, now you can share this screen.
Very good afternoon to all. Today, on the third day of the presentation of semester one, I, Trushali Dodiya, going to present my presentation on the topic Search for Identity in Frankenstein. These are my personal informations. In this presentation, I am going to ponder the points search for identity, human identity, identity of the creature, comparison of Frankenstein with the hairy ape, and I'll conclude them. So let's begin with the introduction of the I think it is misplaced. Frankenstein is a novel written by Mary Shelley in 1880. It depicts the ambition of Victor Frankenstein to create a new life and its outcome. So the whole novel is based on how Victor Frankenstein creates a monster and how it get its outcome. So parallel, he fails to give a proper reflection of himself, of mankind in his creation. The creature created by Victor Frankenstein has to bear alienation from the society and is always in search of belongingness. Throughout the life, whatever year he has lived, he always have to search for his own belongingness, where he from where he is belonging. So in the novel Frankenstein, there are, as per my point of view, three identity search is there. First of Victor's, then second of the creature, and the third one is Elizabeth. So it is minor, but I consider is a search for identity in a major way. So, search for human identity. After the death of Victor Frankenstein's mother, he becomes clear to create a new life. He tells his father when his mother died that why are you are the you are a doctor, why are you not able to relive my mother, and the that's how he gets a way to create a new life of a creature. He also starts dreaming to be a god for his invented race. And Shelley, in the novel, it is quoted that a new species would bless me as its creator and source. Many happy and excellent natures would owe their being to me. No father could claim the gratitude of his child so completely as I should reserve there. So he is dreaming that I will be one day a creator of man, creator of a person. So he's just dreaming and starts to work on his experiment. He also passes most of his life in creating this creature. The creature was opposite what he wanted to create. When the creature was poor, he poured Saul in creature, and he first see the creature. You can see in this gif that he is completely frightened by his own creation, what he wanted to create and what he had created. He has to suffer because of creating a creature, as it was the biggest mistake he made. So this is the search for human identity of Victor Frankenstein. And now let us see of the identity, search for identity of the creature, what he has gone through. The creature is an invention of Victor, but he is rejected by his own creator. In the very first time when his creator faces him, he is completely rejected by his own creator. The creature leaves the place of Victor, and he to find something, he find his own belongingness, he goes to the society, but continuously he is rejected by the society because only because of his hideous look. Then later on he goes to D. Lacy family, and he working without revealing his personality, revealing himself in anonymous way. So he is also, after that, when a person from that family sees him creature, he is also rejected by and beaten by that family and considered as monster because of his look. So, after being rejected by the society, the creature puts a question: Was I a monster, a blot upon the earth, which all men fled and whom all men are disowned? So, he is feeling that society is believing him as a monster, and it is the fact that society is believing him as a monster. So after this incidents, after so many rejections, he wants to revenge or kill seek revenge and kills Victor's brother. He then he after killing his brother, monster asks his creator Victor that please create a creation like me, who belongs from my community, who looks like me, so that he or she can accept me. So he wants a female monster, and he got a promise by his creator. But after half creation done, Victor destroy it because of its disastrous outcomes. So and after destroying his female monster, creature vows to be on the wedding night of Victor. So on the wedding night, he kills wife of Victor, Elizabeth. And after the death of Victor, he goes to the North Pole. Now, no one is there who belongs to him or who has created him. I have take a reference of paper in Frankenstein and Disremembered Identity. Salvatore makes arguments on representation of oneself into another one. Victor wanted to create a corresponding creature, and he got complete failure in this because he is collecting multiple body parts from many places. So it is his creation was completely hideous in look. So according to him, the next the text poses a question: how one can represent the self and it confront to one's intention. The question also raised by the creature, and that is completely unanswerable, like who I was, what was I, where did I come. At the end, gives clear idea that once one begin to work of self representation, one is subject another text, another story. So when someone is tending to create something, to make something, he just want their own reflection, but it is not possible every time. Where Victor wants his own reflection, but while doing so, he got complete failure in it, as it was out of his imagination. And this question raised by Monser is also unanswerable, because this cannot be answered, because he is the only one who differs from human society. So the search for identity in Frankenstein is very much similar to the Hairy Ape, which is written by Eugene O'Neill in 1922. It is a play, and though there is much differences between these two texts, but some concepts are same in that, and that is belongingness and the search of identity. So I have compared these two texts, and some major portion of that is not in a sequence. That story, this story begins like this, and the same way this story is begins like this, but there are some incidents which can be compared to each other. Victor creates a creature, and in Hairy Ape, Mildred Douglas, a female protagonist, wants to help a poor and lower class. And Victor, after creating his creation, he frightened by its appearance. And the same concept we can see in the Hairy Ape, when Mildred visits the ship where workers were working. She sees the Yank Smith, and tells him a filthy beast, and becomes unconscious. Both these incidents in both the works have deep impression on the person, or in a very bad way. So, a creature is also rejected by human society in the same manner. Young Smith is rejected by upper class, and for both his class and his look. In the Hairy Ape, Young is very hideous, have very hideous look. He is like Hairy Ape. He is like a monkey looking like. So he wants to. Yes. So in the both the text, both creature and Yank both wants revenge. At last, there was none who was him, and his creator was also died. So there was no one who was with him. And at the last scene of the play Hairy Ape, Yank goes to a zoo, and goes into a cage of gorilla, and says, "At last I belong." So he sees his own reflection in the gorilla. So the only one is belong to him. No one is accepting him in the society, or anywhere. Here in both the text, one point is can be noted in a very well manner. In the creature is having physical as well as mental strength, and in the novel we can see that when he was born, he was not taught how to read, how to write. He goes to Day Leslie family, and without revealing himself, he is learning. When a mother of that daughter was teaching him, he learned from that. So we can see that how much strong mental condition he has, and he was also a physically strong person. In Hairy Ape, there is physical strength of Young Smith. I personally didn't find that there is mental strength in Young, because he always worked physically. There was nothing to apply mind. I have compared two of the scenes from both the works. Last scene of the of the play, where Yank goes to a zoo in front of the gorilla, and in Frankenstein, when Elizabeth dies, and Victor's re-alive her, and after giving another life to Elizabeth, she finds similarities in monster, not in Victor, though he was though he was her husband. So uh, in both this scenes we can find that there are someone who belongs to her, belongs to them, no one else, even not the society. So I would like to conclude my presentation with a famous quote from the novel Frankenstein, a cursed creator. Why did you form a monster so hideous that even you turned from me in disgust? So this question lies forever, because he, at the end of the novel, he goes to North Pole and didn't find his own identity, as his creator was also died. So there was none who will accept him as he was. So this question is always always stay in everybody's mind, in literature also. And even if we will apply this concept of identity in our life, we all are searching our identity in it can be in a family relationship, education, profession, in religion, man, as a woman, class, caste, everywhere we are finding our own identity. And like monster, creature, we are not having answer of this identity crisis in our life. These are my citations. Thank you.
Trushali, how can you define Frankenstein as a human being?
Frankenstein as a human being, because he has emotions in him. He is behaving, though the only difference of him with the society was that he is hideous in his look. Nothing else. He is having emotions. He is having strength. He is having physical and mental inputs in him. So yes, he is a human being. And after all, Victor wanted to create a human being. The only fault was that it was not properly placed.
Trushali, I have a question. In Frankenstein, who struggles more in search of identity? Victor or Victor's creator? Who struggled more in search of his identity? Victor or Victor's creator?
Yes,
Victor creature.
yes, Rinkal, of course. His creation in a large number finds this faces this identity complex, because in each and every phase of his life he has to suffer from that identity crisis. In the opposite way, Victor is having his family, his wife, his beloved, his brother, his siblings, and support by the society. So we cannot say that he is searching in that way. Yes, he is searching for a human being. Identity search means he is searching that God has created us, and he has no right to kill us. So he just want immortality. But his struggle was more far than his creation. Thank you.
Riddhi, on the screen, acha, you have made full screen. Okay. Can you identify any? How can you define, not defined? How can you define this? So that is then Frankenstein as a human being. So this you have to be very careful. Creature, monster, or Frankenstein. Frankenstein is human being. That is the scientist, and his creature or monster is there. So this is the normal mistake that everybody makes, but be careful when you write your answers in exam. You differentiate between Frankenstein, the person, the scientist, the creator, and monster, the creation. Don't mix up both the things together.
Is it? No.
Not able to share, or what is the problem?
Screen share. Stream. This. Share screen. Okay. Share. है? कौन अच्छा? Hello everyone, my name is okay. Hello everyone, my name is Upasna Goswami. Today I will present a woman's social status and Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice. This is my personal information. Introduction about Jane Austen is one of the most famous women writer of the 19th century. She lived in a simple condition that distinguished social status between men and women, causing intimation for a woman by men with the thought that the woman cannot be happy without men. Compa- compre- uh, Comprehensive support. This viewpoint was to be changed in the society. Jane Austen's live and it made her write and discuss this problem in her literature works. The novel is one of the literary works which gives the reader joy, knowledge, and leads him to a particular situation, place, or period that occurred in the story. Thought us. series of event and a conflict we are experienced by the characters throughout the novel. We permanent the characteristics life at the end, discovering the meaning, message, or value revealed by the author. In the 19th century of a British society, people live in a materialistic society. Parents use their daughter as a mean of achieving happiness, believing that marriage is a great way to achieve a goal for them. This is due to the roles of a parents who want to find a rich and noble man for their daughters. These parents happen that their daughter will marry a great man and then they will find real happiness. The society viewpoints conquering the woman to be considered as a second person after man is changed by Elizabeth and Bennet, who is a main character in in the novel. Elizabeth and the character skills. Elizabeth explicitly change the society's viewpoint, especially the present that the marriage is not the best way to change the social status of women in the society. Woman's position in a Pride and Prejudice. Economic depends. Women in a Pride and Prejudice are being weak in a financial affairs. They have no economic independence. Men are being authoritative in the family. They are the leaders of the family in relations to the financial affairs. They are powerful economic or a financial matter in this novel are therefore a matters for a man and entailment in the practice of inheritance of a property from someone to the other ones. In that time, women are not able to the independent economically. She depend her father and after a marriage she depend her husband. She not able to in a society able to the economically dependent. In Pride and Prejudice, purpose of a marriage. In marriage, women are also weak in the position related to property. They are depend very much on their husband. As shown in a Pride and Prejudice, women get married with the consideration only property and security as the foundation. This may be because women generally have no financial or economic. Before one decided to get married, he or she must have a many consideration or reason. The reason of a consideration may be different from each others. One may get married to continue her generation or to have a children. Others may get married to achieve a happiness in a life by forming a family. Someone else may want to come into marriage because of sex or great position, passion, beauty and youth. Maybe the other reason that make people decide to get married because she is young and having a beauty and finding the match that is also still young and beautiful in a performance. He or she then come into a marriage. In Pride and Prejudice, this case about a marriage because of sex, youth, and beauty is a portrayed beside the marriage because of moral and intelligence in also represented. The first kind of marriage result in a happiness whereas the second can achieve the happiness. The husband can improve his moral in life and the wife can get her liberty as an intelligent and moral woman in in a marriage. Being a beautiful and accom- occupation in a Pride and Prejudice, women are portrays as a being always beautiful and occupation. Women are to be always sweet, tender, and beautiful, especially when they are together with men. They must be a good in manner, sweet and tender in appearance, nice in dressing and hair doing, etc. Addition in relations too. The beauty woman she must be able to sing, dance, and play a musical instrument. They must possess all these capabilities to be a good performance in playing music, to be a good dancer and a praised by people, especially men is a woman in Pride Prejudice. Conclusion of the topic, reputation, pride, and prejudice depicts a society in which a woman's reputation is of the utmost importance. A woman is expected to behave in certain ways. Stepping outside the social norms make her valuable to ostracism, pride, and prejudice. Austen portrayed a woman's struggle within a society that stressed the importance of a marriage and strict behavior customs. As a evidenced by the Bennet's daughters, Elizabeth and Jane, as well as Charlotte Collins' marriage for young women as a pursuit that dominated their lives. Uh, this is my cited works. If any question, ask me.
Take the laptop little bit so that you can come in the focus.
So, Upasna, as you have mentioned the condition of women in Pride and Prejudice, can you say in 21st century women are more independent than the women in the novel, or if yes, then in which direction or in which way?
Please repeat.
Can you say that women of this century is more independent than Jane Austen's time?
Yes, women is more independent. Jane Austen's time in current time, get woman is educated and she was not dependent that time. Their father or their husband. She able to the society to economically and improve and protect herself, not depend on other in their current time. I think. Second.
Upasna, my question is that is reputation, social fame, or everything is more important than happiness of the life?
Sorry.
Is reputation more important than happiness?
No, even my point of view, happiness is more important. Reputation is not important. In my point of view, then you protect you rules of you. So you follow the rules of society. You get reputations rules on society, and you follow that. But you are not convince yourself. Uh, Even I'm not like the this type of rules, but there but that time I can follow, but I'm not happy. Even that I am follow. So I thought reputation is not more important than happiness is more important.
Okay, we have to start the next session also very quickly. A very quick feedback let me give to all. In between also, we have given some comments. In the beginning also about title, also we have talked about. Today, Hina was the first one to present. Feeling of Love, Elizabeth Darcy was the topic. There was mixing of citation that we have discussed when you were presenting. Centralized also was there. You have to make it justified or left hand side. All the slides should be justified. That also many of you are still not taking care of, but you have to see that all the slides are justified in paragraph. Or I say this, if you're not understanding, write down and ask somebody. Maybe some of you might say that what is this? This is going bouncer. What is this centralized or what is justified or paragraph style? So if you're not getting the point, write down so you can ask somebody, or you can ask me also that what is this to be done, so that it can be avoided in our next presentations. A slide design was good in Hina's presentation. Many of you have good slide designs also, and it was well prepared also. Slides were well prepared. Insia also presented well on Keats as a poet. So content-wise, it was good. The only concern still remains with many of you is you're not able to connect with something else, like what is today or what is regional literature, any other poet of any other language that you can connect with Keats. So then it becomes more relevant also. Kosha also was very good, concept of marriage. You can like make this title still better, like you are talking about romantic literature. If you take many texts or a particular text, then that text colon or psychological study of the marriage institution. That way you have to like work on the topic so it becomes more relevant. A psychological study of the marriage institution. But it was good, well prepared, and many interesting connections and examples were also discussed in the slides. Mansi on themes of Pride and Prejudice was presented. The slides content was quite good. Still, that connection, other thing remains to be done. Okay, Nirali also had a good topic and well presented. Victor and Monster, difference and similarities were done. Some GIFs were brought in. There are many GIFs around Frankenstein, so you can find that very easily. Also, based on that film. Payal on Jane Austen's biography was presented, quite well prepared slides and presented well. Pooja also presented. That was also a good topic. A topic of criticism you have taken here. Coleridge as a critic in this paper and his theory of imagination. That was a good, well-prepared slides were there. A bit difficult to understand, but it was very well prepared and presented. Rajeshvariba on nature in Wordsworth. You also have brought very good examples of Chipko movement, Bishnois, the Salman Khan episode, and many other examples were also brought in. Also, the problem with appropriating land as a woman, and then how the ownership goes to man. That point also was discussed there. There were some errors in the spelling. Wordsworth's spelling was also having a mistake, I think, in the initial slides. So that you have to take care of. Riddhi on biography of Wordsworth. That was also good slides were there. Some of you are not able to answer properly. So that you have to take care of that, how you can answer the things carefully or in detail. Rinkal also presented very well on character analysis of monster from the novel Frankenstein. Okay? It was too short, but still well presented. It was very small. By the time the people who were supposed to ask questions, they awakened, you said thank you. હજી તો આમ બરાબર સેટ થાય કે પ્રશ્ન તૈયાર કરીએ ત્યાં તો થેન્ક યુ કહી દીધું. ઊંઘતા ઝડપાઈ ગયા. બાકીના કે સમય જ ન મળ્યો ક્યાંથી પ્રશ્ન પૂછવાનો છે. Connect with something relevant. So then, like there are many films also based on these ideas. So at least that can also be connected when you talk about this, or in so many ways. Frankenstein is connected in relevant discussions. Uh, in semester 3 we will talk about cultural studies. There again Frankenstein will come, so then you will see more examples or more connections, because Frankenstein text is talked a lot nowadays, with even in political discussion also, and with technology that is growing. So lots of people show the fear against technology with the help of this text. So time and again, so it's not difficult to find a relevance or a reference about monster or Frankenstein's creature in our times. Trushali also did well, very well presented slide. In one or two slides there was image problem, but it was well prepared, connected with hairy ape also was there. So that was good. There were good questions asked by Rinkal also. That question asked to Trushali also was good. Quest for identity, in that who struggled more, whether it is the scientist who is struggling or whether it is the creature who is created. So it's a very interesting question which you can think in a deeper way, because Victor also wanted to be somebody, so he was trying to plan to do something that nobody has done. So his quest for identity also is very significant, and then the creature also. So that was a good question. Upasna presented on women's social status, was also well presented there. There also Rinkal's question was good. This reputation or happiness, that was also there. So, people may say that reputation gives happiness. So if you are reputed, you are more happy than you are not so reputed. So what is this happiness, which is very shifting kind of an emotion? People have a different kind of happiness from different things. There are many people who are happy when some other becomes unhappy. People are not happy until others are not unhappy. So my happiness is not about my being happy, it is about others being unhappy. So if somebody is unhappy, then I am more happy. So happiness is very shifting term. Reputation gives lots of happiness. So how we can say that this or that? It can be both also. But good question to think of. That was there. Okay, so good. So wish you all the best for tomorrow's presentations. Wherever we had a problem in mic and other thing, you inform to the next group of the students so they can take care of the things earlier. We are ending our session here.